Hello, everyone. Welcome back to VCT Americas, where once we got back into that one and into the second half, at the very least, Loud started to turn up the heat. They take Haven in the end and put themselves up 1-0 in the series score. Valen, well on their way to locking down that #1 spot.
Yeah, they're looking great, especially on that first map of Haven. I wanted to point out some of Sidehawk's lurks. I think he was getting a lot of map control just from his Harbor and Viper utility, finding gaps in the defense, because it is a 3-bomb-sided map. You can't hold everything, right? So he's sneaking in, finding gaps while the team puts pressure on A or puts pressure up C. And, you know, obviously Aspas was turning up too.
What really impressed me was the variety of Viper setups that they had on both sides of the map. Loud have shown a lot of this in the past, but they found really consistent value, like you're talking about, with those walls on the attacking side to block Killjoy util and find these lurks, and also on the defense to create these gaps to allow flood retakes, to even have orbs to kind of prevent breach alt floods. It was really cool stuff. This round was one such example where Tweez has that little lurk orb to sit inside of as they're going in for this retake to stay alive. There's just a lot of really cool ideas with this comp for Loud.
Yeah, that orb is multi-purpose because it lets you be able to hold down short without getting pushed through long, but also on the flood retake because it's blocking off default to spawn angle, so they're able to flood into site without them knowing. They can save their utility for the retake, and it just allows you to be able to get in without getting shot from spawn.
Yeah, and you already mentioned it just a bit ago, Aspas finding his shot once again, right? We took that moment earlier today to be like, hey, had a down week last week, you know, first time we've ever seen him not perform up to par. And while that ACS there still doesn't quite touch the numbers he was putting up in previous weeks on average, he's definitely elevated his game once again here, Mimi.
ACS can be kind of a fraudulent stat.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, this guy had crazy impact. I think he's probably the best Jet at playing around these Harbor Viper comps, despite the chaos sometimes with the amount of smokes being used on these sites. They're so good at finding him the gap with the entry pathing on the attack side, and on the defense, he's so consistent at providing value on his op.
And the way, again, that the supporting agents, the supporting cast, if you will, Val, that you've talked plenty about all weekend long, right, in stepping up behind the duelists have set him up for success in this one. I'm thinking just that A short. The KJ Molly comes in, he doesn't bother to look at it. He knows Harbor right behind him is going to deal with the Molly. I can still hold the angle for the op shot, finds a kill to help close out that round.
Yeah, just like you and Mimi said, the supporting staff has been phenomenal on the team. Also, the reason why he's able to find those shots against the double controller comps is because of the supporting staff, like Dash is saying. They're breaking the Killjoy Mollies, getting him the deep lines, kind of taking the risks for him so that he can then gather the line, hold it down, let them rotate away. That's why they've been so successful in their sight holds, is because they're properly positioned due to the line with the op.
In particular, Cowan Scene, he continues to be just so incredible. Like, we don't talk about this a lot, but it really can be a lot more difficult to play in these solo initiator comps. All of last year was defined by like having Breach Sova, always having multiple pieces of utility to re-hit, re-clear in the late round. But in the current meta, it's all up to this guy, timing the util around that signature recharging. And it always feels like Cowan Scene is on point with that utility, and the team calls around his util so well.
Now, as we get ready for round number 2 here, we're first going to get into our aim lab shoot around. We're checking out Tweez and how he's warming up in the range. He found the last shot to close it all out on the last map. Maybe he can open up with one here on the second. For Leviathan, pressure's on, right? You got to put 2 together in a row here if you want to take down Loud, the #1 team in the league, to close out your stage. And again, start that climb, that upward climb. Get a little bit of momentum going into the postseason when it seems you've been lacking that X factor a little bit in most recent weeks.
Yeah, and I wanted to touch base on Leviathan's Ascent just because they haven't been performing too well on it recently. But like we noted, that they've been historically one of the best teams on Ascent. So hopefully they can kind of find their form again, because you're playing a dangerous Loud. Ascent is also a very good map for Loud, so it's exciting to see the 2 teams face off here. I think we're probably going to see 2 Jets, and again, if they pull out the double controller like we've been saying, it depends a lot on the support staff. Can they keep getting Aspas the deep lines, Taco the deep lines? It's going to allow them to stack in the proper areas.
And you said this earlier, but Leviathan is a team that a lot of squads look to learn about Ascent, to pick up their strats. Last year and early in 2023, they were probably fundamentally the best on this one, but that's exactly that. Teams picked up their strategies, teams learned how to counter it, and they didn't find that new idea in the same way that other squads have, experimenting with different compositions on this map. And Loud in particular, I think have shown in map #1 already that they're really prepared, as they always are, to add new things into their pre-existing compositions, to throw something new at LEV.
And you take that and you couple with the idea that they just have raw power on their team in terms of individuals who on their day can beat anybody. Into Agent Select we go to see if there will be any shakeups in what has become more rigid approaches to Ascent as a map.
Yeah, I think Ascent has always been the map where everyone runs the double initiator, KO Sova. We saw Cloud9 touch base on doing the Breach Sky a little bit.
Didn't work out for them.
Didn't work out. But I think Loud is actually one of the few teams, they might be going back, I don't know, but they ran the Viper before.
Yeah.
But I saw Sadhak lock in the KO there, so I'm not sure if they're going to revert. It looks like they were going back to the original roles. And I'm excited to see, because before they were running the Viper, which was very strong, blocking off lines, having very good defensive setups around the Viper orb and the retake walls. But now we're going to see the OG Loud from last year on this comp, who would never lose on Ascent either. So it's going to be exciting.
And this is a map that is always going to be about the mid-rounding, at finding an adaptation late in the game. And that's where Leviathan have failed already. They have a big test here against Loud, because they are excellent at this map, even on their attacking side.
Everyone is locked in. Let's find out if this one gets to a third map as we hand it right back over to your casters. Here's Vansili and Riv.
Time to move into the Heineken 0.0 Ascent, and indeed, yes, I don't know how this is going to pan out here for Leviathan, because as Adescus mentioned at the beginning of this series, it has been a good map for Leviathan in the past, but now it seems that they've been figured out. And that's been a storyline a lot for Leviathan versus all of their opponents. At some point, they're readable, they're figured out, so I'm hoping within this second map, they could play a little bit more differently, where you can catch your opponents off guard, especially when you're playing against Loud, who's been lossless in this season so far at the VCTs.
Yeah. Find a way to put another one in that column for him, right? At least on Ascent. This and Haven have just been so strong for Loud. Over and over. And Sadak, or Shai rather, gonna be making a call here as they dash down lane fast. Aspas holds sight. And right off the rip, they're making a home and setting up residence in B.
And Shai's playing behind an alarm bot in the back of the site, hoping to do some decay damage. And yes, he's getting flooded in by so much utility. But Leviathan's already moving back forward. The rotation out from the spawn. And now it's actually Leviathan that have control of the site, control of the spike too. Both players now less than 2Es at the staircase of the B side. There's the first contact, headshotted by King. And we know what King could do on this map.
Yeah, I mean, using the last bit of the utility they had from Loud to smoke off an angle, but King sitting over there on his throne, able to get a 4K on the first round on this KO. That's going to be a null command really soon, so that may be a way that they get through their bonus round here against Loud as well. We saw a bonus win for Leviathan on last map, and then it just seemed to fall apart, so we're keeping an eye on whether they keep it. Smile on for King. It's a good way to start for him. We know he can pop off. He's showing a lot of emotion. One of the ones that'll be standing up out of his chair when it comes time.
That's what they need. Three pistols now of this series in favor of Leviathan. King currently holding tree. Recon pushed away. Now Loud looking for that forward position, maybe even pinch towards spawn. Cutting noise, walking towards the garden, but the top of the dome is spotted. Takulia readjusts.
Jig is up.
Caution here.
It's Marshall's
Caution here.
out for Takulia. A Spectre for Nazwar looking to hunt down the push-up from Sadak. Loud slowly walking backwards, but the range is too far now as it gets damaged. Meanwhile, though, a fight is continuing up towards the back spawn of Heaven.
Wait.
Spike down A.
Mazzino with the kill onto Sadak. Closing in now onto the A site.
One enemy remaining.
Aspas now picked off, and that lurk from Les now spotted. The bait and switch, big paranoia, good combination from Leviathan. Another round coming in, compiling behind the pistol round that they win.
I think it's fantastic. We saw Leviathan acting as they did, being able to coordinate around such a chaotic strat from Loud. I mean, you had a handful of members from Loud on Cat. The turret gets put down so those three can work forward as you had Les going back to mid. There were so many layers to that. Leviathan could have lost one member in, and that's how we saw them losing a few of those rounds before. A few shots from Sadak and the rest of the team as you rotate around and you find Loud has the weapons you carried into the round. Not yet, though. Leviathan staves off that result. They'll be pushing out a B for B main control right now. So this rotation for Lev towards A could meet Loud smack dab as they dive in.
And this is protocols for Loud, having Aspas dashing in. But all of Leviathan playing these off angles, but it doesn't work out for too long. The Odin coming out for Kawazin. Also a menace on this map with that weapon. Noswar on a 3 versus 1. It worked out for a bit because I saw an opportunity there for Leviathan. The amount of utility that was placed by Shine just by the generator to avoid and prevent that dash from Aspas from getting too much value on that generator. But Odin again, too much.
Yeah. Really
Nice.
neat way that Loud played that on the entry as well. You don't see teams smoke heaven anymore, and a lot of times the team will all adjust to the left side to enter sight by Jenny so they don't get picked off. But to see that Odin just set up and ready to rail anybody coming out of heaven, Loud knows exactly what they're waiting for, and Lev kind of walks right into that line like ducks at a carnival. So, Loud now, get that bonus. What can they push this to? Kawazin probably going to be doing a bit of spamming throughout these rounds to cause chaos. And you can see that setup. Both of them there on the right, too. And he just keeps laying down the bullets. It's going to be impossible to take those instances.
Oh, you can't do that. Especially with only the lower buys that you have in that round number 3.
Okay, here's that null command now for King. Can they push back Loud at the right time?
Would be an important piece for the retake. But Shy breaks the turret. Here is the Yoda done. Oh, okay, does a lot of damage. Still has a Nanoswarm available.
It's free chip too, right?
Yeah.
It's all off the vision. They get the turret, so now it's you have to worry a little bit about who can pressure that B site. And the Loud re-hit over and over. We saw them doing this on Haven, even after getting a full salvo of Leviathan's utility.
The updraft coming in. Shy with support here from Noswar stops Aspas from creating space.
Shy
playing towards the staircase with support from Takolia. He gets a third into the round, but it was once again the Odin from Kawazin. Dropping 2, make that a third. Fully blinded from a paranoia. Has to ace clutch it, but we have a double swing out from Leviathan. Prevent that ace from happening, and Leviathan answers right back into the gun round.
What a sick adjustment from Leviathan to be able to grab that, not allowing the damage that happened to Shy to really scatter the team, right? They still had great defense. The utility was there, and you have to trust in that utility, or else the confidence goes to the wayside, and so does your aim. Not watching the right angles, etc., etc. Leviathan reading that one very well, already set up for Loud to be pushing and prepared for the re-hit. They remember also, they also remember what happened on Haven. Some ultimates still here. King did not need to use his.
One available for Shy as well. Late recon dart in B main. Does not spot anybody there for Leviathan. The rotate slowly comes in towards middle and A site.
Look at this one Molly Killjoy help they have on Cat too.
And there's an ult command. It's not for a retake play. It's actually to prevent the utility from coming out of Loud. So it's going to be the guns, and it works out. Takolia falls, and we take control of A Heaven. Less with the backstab onto King. Dewey's pushing all the way down towards spawn. Mazzino trying to hold his ground towards Hell. Still a disadvantage. 2 players alive now for Leviathan. It's Shy and Noswar. Early lockdown already down. The plant.
That was just King.
We're actually stopping the plant. We want to go away, cut noise.
Does he have the mollies? Oh, they're already out. Used it B, used it A.
Revealing area.
Now with the recon dart, the swing came out. He saw 2 of them with Noswar. He has his own Odin to work with. Shock dart as Loud is not afraid to fight right back.
30 seconds.
Holding their positions
30
at A
seconds
main.
left.
Shy trying to get a timing here. Here's the footsteps through the smokes. The run out doesn't
standing.
work. So it's up to Noswar. ADSing, Aspas stops him. And that makes the economy now not as heavy for Leviathan. Opting potentially for some sort of a half buy into this one.
That situation, I think it's tougher and tougher for Lev there. You're a few members strafing left out of a spot. 3 members of the enemy are coming out of an archway, right? The amount of angles that Leviathan's gonna have to cover on these peaks, just becomes too difficult. And they re-push into the site. Loud secures another round to bring this closer to a 3-3, very reminiscent of our first map.
Yeah.
I have the
That
spike.
reset on money is really gonna hurt Leviathan here. They try to get a little bit of tree control. They're giving up the B main for now as they focus this right side of the map. Nice 0 point as well to get early info.
Yeah. We talk about resetting the economy. They also reset the ult economy for Leviathan.
Yeah.
We've mentioned both the lockdown and the null command being super important in that previous round. But unfortunately, Leviathan can convert into a victory in that round, forcing them to be in their first eco of this half. Loud already moving in, a recon dart spawning King. And it's Kawadzina with a wallbang from the Odin. Nothing much here that Leviathan could do. Hoping to land some good shots with the Sheriffs, but it definitely does seem that Loud are gonna put another one on the board.
That strategy, one of the default dart and dash into sight, rely on Aspas to hit, initiator and crew are the secondaries, and the team floods in with less watching back wherever he is on the lurk. It is so clean. We've seen teams do it for basically the beginning of time in Valorant, yet it's so strong that you can't be in sight to play that. Aspas could be the first kill, and you actually, after his dash, he's looking up towards heaven. The team's already grabbing doorway. It's covered in every position. And you see how much trouble Leviathan is having at defying that, even with delay fragments, delay flashes, 0 points to tell them that all of Loud is there. It's a strategy that's so tried and true, and if you have it down pat, you get those round wins like Loud is right now.
Yeah.
Looks to be a cat strat, more towards A though. They like what they've been seeing in their ability to post-plan at this so far. See how this lockdown makes Leviathan react though, quite early for it to be used.
One lockdown, forced out of paranoia, and a fragment very early from Leviathan. So less utility to hold the push right after this lockdown, and you can definitely see it here. Might be now the call to save at this point, unless Takulia can get something done here with the Blade Storm.
Spike planted.
It's going to be the first point. Two players now falling back, saving their weapons towards that B side, and that's the issue here of trying to play against Loud on this map.
Yeah.
You have Aspas, not only that he's able to create great space on this map, but lands every single shot. Then you have Les, as we mentioned before, the closer, the one that can cut these rotations, the one that lays as much as he can on the mid A takes. But then there's also Kawadzin, someone that we didn't really talk about yet. Then on this map, it's almost his playground.
This round getting locked
Player
in will
standing.
mark 4 rounds. Leviathan has not been able to get a successful retake down on Loud. Just absolute solid attack and defense when it comes to the post plants right now. Aspas with the 3K, one off of Blade Storm for him is Sadak and Kawadzin are already sitting on ultimates. So this is going to become a wild ride that Loud starts and initiates here on Leviathan with the amount of momentum they are gaining.
Exactly. And again, about Kawadzin, it's not only about the Odin and the amount of kills that he's able to get with that, but it's also the great utility that he's using. He understands where to put the shock darts, breaking the early utility from Shy, recon darts and an owl drone, understanding where to ping inside the smokes to get all of these kills. Maybe even at this point for a strategy for Leviathan or anybody playing against Loud on this map is trying to get rid of Kawadzin first. Because he allows so much information to be picked up. Now we're trying to use the operator to dash for information. Using the turret as bait. Les gets the kill.
Huge.
Yeah, no command out, and Zeno plays inside the smoke. Only good for one. Could get res definitely here, as that's going to be the assist from Kawadzin. But as that res comes up, everybody's falling on a defense. There's just no way to hold here.
And so many things going into that play, right? Sadak is the first one on that. If he goes down, he's close to the site. Null command still works in his ultimate passive of being able to be rezzed. So while you get the dash in from Aspas, you're still getting null command. Even though your first player went down, you get to identify where that kill came from. Also, what a kill to get Takulia down on the operator buy, a round where Leviathan is hoping to make an impact on this big buy as they reach into their pockets. And that even max money on round loss. You see a low buy here for Leviathan.
Going aggressive.
That's a good one. Aspas locks in that Blade Storm.
Solid play to get some information, hopefully to get a kill with the Hunter's Fury. Unfortunately, does not connect with anything at all. And that's something that Leviathan has done in the past on this map with a low buy to try to get some sort of result here off a blind Hunter's Fury of human turrets moving forward. And with that said, though, it's still Loud gaining position. Nosworth trying to catch some players off guard, knowing that Loud has pushed all the way up towards the A side, and it's still, again, Aspas. They talk about
Another
his first map
handful of kills.
on the first map where it was slow, just dominating now on the attack here for Loud on Ascent.
Yeah. I think it's one of the kind of things we could gripe at Loud for throughout the year was like slow starts, right? These slow starts that Loud would have, but there's like no middle ground. It's slow and then turn it up to 15. And you get Aspas going crazy here. I think a lot of teams have trouble as well adjusting to that momentum shift.
And thankfully, the only slow start that we've seen so far was from Tech Pause. It's not from Loud.
True. Very true. Don't say it again.
True.
Don't say it again.
My bad. My bad.
Aspas with the fist bumps around. No reclining for him right now. He might recline here.
Oh, definitely.
And this is a timeout for Leviathan being called as we get into round 10. They've now gone down 3. It's 6-3, but that is 5 in a row for Loud right now.
You need to find a solution for sure. They've been 0-4 here for attempts to retake on the sites, on these plants coming out from Loud. Post-plant denials, only one since the beginning.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now
definitely resting there all the time. In the zone.
You know, if you don't play with an arm sock, plus to playing with an arm sock. Smooth movement, as you see Aspas there wearing one on the left. I swear it will up your game.
Fortunately,
little tidbit.
Unfortunately, they don't fit my arms.
Oh, you'll find them.
So we need some
Sentinels handed out a bunch.
Exactly.
There you go. Get your Sen on.
It fit my pinky.
Oh my gosh. Coming into round 10. There's a timeout right now from Leviathan. What do they plan? They haven't really changed up the Killjoy utility. It is going to be Takulia towards mid, though. So a little more pressure here to divide the middle of the map, maybe. Keep that Killjoy utility from being taken out if it has been lurked on.
And I like it. We're playing passively now for Leviathan outside of the site. Okay, that was a little bit of a troll out there. Yes, indeed. Nosworth does get the kill right away, but Loud did get the timing to execute into the site when the recon are dissipated here for Leviathan.
It's gross. I love that. Tui's basically plays a recon dart in his own smoke to see who's entering the site. Lev Flood retook this last time, so he prevented it.
I think despite Tui's dying, that was information there for the Hunter's Fury to come out.
Yeah.
And see to get these right pings and off the post plant. Looks to be, unfortunately, another demise now for Leviathan as they fall back. This should now put them at 0-5 on retake attempts. Loud continuing to dominate here in these gun rounds.
That was such a cool strategy, using From the Shadows to identify so much in the instance. And actually, it was presented with 3 members or 2 members right there in the smoke. So they were very aware of what was happening. Very heady play there from Loud, showing us a few different things here while probably keeping an entire strat book in the trunk for when playoffs comes. Very close to closing out this first half, and that first C staying very well within reach for them as they close out what looks to be a 2-0. We still have to see Leviathan on attack here, but it looks like Loud has gained that extra momentum they were looking for.
You can definitely see it running behind the Hunter's Fury, starting things off, as you mentioned here, Riv, from the shadows, but the rest it's going to be...
It's wild.
Again, players running in, trying to spot these opponents so that you could get the best value out of Kawadzin's Hunter's Fury.
Little market. He's going to get both of them?
Oh, okay. Nice little wall bang to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Small shield buy for Leviathan here as they're trying to fight back, not allowing Loud to get control on mid.
They just destroy that turret every time, just to give Shy something to think about and have to recheck maybe with a dart later. A little touch and go on that B utility, and they still keep the B main utility up here for less as the team of Loud starts to pressure this right side of the map. I think Tui's is going to have a pretty big play in the end here for the squad as this mid work happens, and Tui's can get the audio cue on what happens tree.
This is all good information so far with the knife and then the Al Jones spotting nothing towards B main, allowing Taco Leo to get ready for that mid push, but unfortunately he loses it against Aspas. A knife now hitting 2 players inside B. As Aspas is looking for that pick at the staircase. Shy is the one dancing, not shy at all to go for the fight.
He got in.
But we're losing all our fights on both extremities here for Leviathan on the defense. Even the last one, not even capitalizing on anything. Loud gets another flawless.
They're winning in different situations
Last
on the
round
map,
in
not
the half.
requiring to play with each other for that to happen. That means they are dismantling Leviathan truly. I thought Mazzino had Tui's back for moments, a few seconds there, and we saw an A on the mini-map, but the swing around from Tui clears it, and we saw Sadak already over there with the spike, so a lot of things being set in motion here for Loud, and Leviathan is having trouble juggling each and every one of them. Double operator coming out for the side of Loud.
Yeah, that's interesting on the attack. Meanwhile, though, the scoreboard storyline continues to should be the exact same as Haven. 8-3 now. Leviathan looking to salvage their last round. A chance to do it because they're playing against the double omp, but of course this is because you had so much money to work with here on the attack. So we're going to drop these and go back for rifles. Null command to execute here. As Loud are inching towards B site.
All right, we've seen the null commands have a huge impact here for the side of Loud. Can they make this one have the same?
Shy is in a difficult position. He's actually not playing out of sight when he had to lock down to work with. Thankfully, nobody was pushing out for Loud. Now he runs outside of the site. The lockdown coming out on the attack, though, allowing Loud to gain pressure control into B.
So much chip damage on Lev.
And there's a chip
Loud.
damage from the Nano Swarms. A push inside the smoke, a fight from Aspas. Not afraid this time around. Connects with the headshot on the King. Spamming more damage on
1
the
HP.
Taco low HP. Onto the Jet. And he connects right back through his own smoke with the Guardian. Lockdown still available for Shy.
4v2.
In towards the spawn. So much utility once again from Loud. Odin swinging through. Lockdown denied. Noswort alone, and Noswort denied. 9-3 into the half for Loud. As it is not a repeat from Haven.
Switching sides.
It's Loud putting a dominant performance on the attack.
Absolutely punishing gameplay here from Loud. 89% of the time this game, they are converting their 5v4s. The average in America is 73%. They're just going to keep going up and up here. Seeing this Loud play as good as they are before playoffs with just showing us fundamentals, that's incredible.
Yeah. I'm going to stop talking because I like to look at Sean Garris. He's so handsome, so let's toss to him.
You're amazing, Vance. Thank you so much. Here is where keeping it real went wrong for Leviathan. They're up 3-1. The half ended 9-3. And this is the Thrifty round that turned things around. So what you're going to see off the bat here is the KO knife is going to come. This is very standard. Comes all the way over, gets on top of Wine right there. It's unbreakable. It's going to get this player close A main. But what it's going to do also is it's going to draw a lot of attention to allow a cat play to happen. Now, on the default setup for Leviathan, King's role here is to end up shifting towards catwalk. He mollies it off if a hit comes. But unfortunately, as you can see, there's going to be a huge gap at tree. So as we play this round, you're going to see, again, watch the rotate. So what's super important to look at here is the gap at tree, like I mentioned before. So Taco's role here is going to be to rotate to heaven. And Leviathan is okay with giving up tree in their setup. Now, what ends up happening is Taco ignores tree. He tries to smoke off heaven. So you can see Loud grouping your cat. Aspas dashes through, creates this space, ends up going up tree. And this smoke you're going to see at heaven right here, this is actually Taco's smoke. You can see down here, Aspas has his second smoke right here. And that allows all three players pushing heaven, completely unaware from Leviathan, to get this kill through the smoke onto Taco. The KO is pointless at this point. They're getting pinched from 3 locations. And Leviathan fall apart. The round isn't even over yet because they still have this lockdown that they waste, unfortunately, on a Thrifty. All of the Loud players go back to A main and they just secure the post plant because Leviathan is a little bit too slow. This was the last round that Leviathan even had a chance in. they lost a Thrifty and everything fell apart from here on. They end the half with 3 rounds. And that's why I'm sending it back to you guys, Vance and Riv. Can they do it? Can they actually mount the 10-2 comeback on attack side of Ascent?
You're supposed to tell us that.
And there's also nothing better than a handsome man, but a handsome man with a brain, and that's Sean Garris. Thank you so much for that breakdown. And indeed, it seems as though Loud really had control of that whole first map. And can they do the comeback for Leviathan? The question that was posed, I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's Loud on the defense now, and it's Leviathan looking to fly early towards A main, and it's denied here by a 0 point, getting all that information for Loud's defensive stack.
Ready to gamble the A stack as well. Straight back around. I like it. If you're going to rotate, do it fast. They show a little bit, but do they leave enough? Now that Aspas can see nobody's A main, look at this rotation coming in from Loud. They may be set up in time. This is going to be on Leviathan now. They don't have the sonar to get back in just yet. They're going to have to wait a few more seconds if that was used just at the beginning, that is.
Definitely.
Currently, it's contact play, unless they use the drone. Oh, such a good 0 point.
Sadak, I think missed his fragment there too. And the recon dart though comes out for the defense, allowing less rather to get the kill onto Takolia.
Push
There's
here.
a late lurk. Sure shot connects onto King. It's gonna be a 1-on-1 against Noswer. Made that a 2 versus 1. As Aspas falls back, and they're pushing right back into him. Time to work with.
Oh.
Right click classic, 2 bullets left.
30
That's all
seconds
that's needed.
left. Spike
And unfortunately,
down.
it's the spike
Player
that goes
standing.
for Spawn to fight against him with 20 seconds left.
1v4.
That is probably the biggest error I've
1v3.
seen so far.
Oh, Sadak easily a few shots away. But the flank comes in, Van Silly. It's so quick to the read. That peak by Aspas at long, you saw everybody start to truck it from Loud over towards B, set up for that. And Lev just moving slightly too slow on what was a great call to reposition to the lower number site for Loud, having the percentage advantage. Every answer so far. And like I said, it's not Loud popping off with different strategies. It's just coming up with pure, clean fundamentals. And that is so scary to see if that's the way they're able to dominate the game this much. There's got to be more in that tank that we're not seeing, and that's what's even scarier. Aspas to try and take a dual fight mid.
Oh, we got 3 players that are able to lurk across Aspas, where Mazina was able to keep him busy. Shy as well. But Leviathan decide to fall back for King to get the headshot there to
long.
punish Aspas. And yeah, the double
they
push towards
clean
long does
Mazino.
get the kill onto Mazino.
This is just Loud is owning a lot of the map, but not owning these fun firefights right now. Back and forth from Les and Takolia as they trade. A 3v2 in favor of Leviathan now. One of the times they have had numbers here in the second half. Can they convert it at this point?
It's looking pretty good. 3 shares, Sadak on low HP. Looking for a different type of flank.
Last player standing.
Meanwhile, though, Kauzin falls, and this is actually looking good after all here for Leviathan to convert from the Sheriff buy that we have. Sadak hears all of these footsteps.
Oh,
No patience,
There
as
it
he
is.
just wants to get the kill, and Shy answers right back.
Yeah.
Allowing Loud to lose that round, and Leviathan to get the thrifty.
Noswer quietly popping off over there. Having a few rounds we've seen from the Sova that really have an impact. And if you lose pistol, it can't go any other way. Being able to win the second round and absolutely shred Loud's economy is the best chance Leviathan has right now, I'd say. They need to start now. I think Loud has too many answers for what's going to be coming. So other alts online, what can be used? They have to be wary of the sheriffs and how much space Loud takes here. And Leviathan need to cover the extremities. That is so important. Already the cat push comes in to identify mids clear from Loud. At Lev don't know it.
Loud was looking for the pressure pinch into mid. But as they make that noise, focus back on a stack on the A site. Leviathan, you could see it, holding all the way back towards spawn.
Yeah. This is a regain of all the space. This is when you have that double initiator comp really come into play, when you can double up on being able to make it look like you're taking a site and still have a bit of that utility for a retake. 0 Point just comes back up, and so does that sonar bolt for Nosver. They're ready to go for B.
You're hoping that Kawadzine's going to be able to land some clean shots here off.
They've chose the right site.
Timmy the turret. Who's going to be the first contact. And now he's going to get punished.
There it is.
So no kills coming in for Kawadzine. An open sight now for Leviathan. Yes, the patience is a virtue in their favor. Making it towards B to get the plant.
30 seconds left.
But Loud's already close. Inching by on the rotate. Inching by on the retake.
All right, safe plan out for Leviathan. They have to maneuver the site. They'll have a good chance to get this in. Chip damage so far onto Loud leaves them with not many choices but headshots as they come in here. All the sheriffs, though, 4 of them standing.
Clear space, do some damage if you can. Loud's focus is to keep the economy low here for Leviathan. It works out. Pop flash, Loud 2 ways to get the kill onto Takalia. Here comes the rest here of Leviathan exiting the B site.
Yep.
Will they get picked off? Keeping 4 alive is pretty good, especially with Shy's kill onto Sadak. Building up these ult orbs later into the round.
Les is going. Les is going. Oh, they get him. Nice shot by King. Actually been very on point with his once we get that view. And he does it again. That win, the previous win we saw from Leviathan was their first eco win of the series. Better now than never, right?
That's true.
They get another one off of it too, and the exit on this was much more clean. Identifying what kind of tricks Loud could play with a bunch of sheriffs. Leviathan stays in the death ball. They exit together. They need as much economy as they can get coming into these rounds after having taken second round away from Loud here, second half. Sadak pushes the extremities again to be controlled, but that teleport up from Azino. Did he hear it? Cat and mouse game over at that A alt orb as mid is being pressured now from Takulia and crew to see if they can get any of this Killjoy utility down. And just pressure on the map is the name of the game right now. No real commitments. Pressure towards A. Mazino falls. Sadak comes up with the first kill.
Always been good at that spot with the judge.
Yep.
Not looked upon by Leviathan, so punished for that as Mazino was trying to get some sort of punishment onto Tui's, but it's been a bait all along. Now Sadak rotating back towards Tree. There's that pinch out. Nice little dash, but Sadak readjusts, gets the kill with the judge as well. That's 2 with 7 HP. I mean, that's a lot of damage. Great value off a low buy. King looking to regain his space on mid. And unfortunately, Market's not going to get checked. Les is going to pick him off. And here's Shy's attempt. It's almost like I'm watching Lemmings now.
But will he go in? Seems like this Lemming has a little bit of self-preservation.
30
And
seconds
they will
left.
not dive into this judge, even at 7 HP. They at least want to take some of these weapons out of the hands of Loud. It's the economy that would make that hurt so much here. Even though Loud would be, if they lost this round on full buy, or a full round win, 2,900, the win gives them 3,000. So
10 seconds
you need
left.
to get guns out of their hands no matter what to take away that economy.
Spotted by the 0 point.
Not going to happen.
Nothing really you could do. A flawless round for Loud. We still had cheers from both camps. Friends from Leviathan and Loud. But it's definitely looking like the story here is favoring the Brazilians.
In the space that Sadak took there, I believe allowed him to hear the teleport. Playing it super safe. You saw him playing it just tucked outside the sphere of the Omen smoke. Yeah. Did you guys see what I did that round? Sadak feeling good. They pull it back. Round 16 now, 11 to 5. Round 17, I should, sorry. They pull it back 11 to 5. And it looks like a default now coming in from Leviathan. We've seen these rounds kind of go to the wayside. They almost get themselves into too much trouble when the spike's not there because of the timing it takes to get back for it. We'll see if it plagues them this time. A little push into B main and 2 kills from Loud to answer 1 from Leviathan.
A duel ensues on both extremities once again. I mean, the story repeats, the story continues. Every single duel that's going on every single position is just won by Loud. You don't need utility, you don't need anything. You're trying to play the contact play. But Loud's just too strong now. Map point, series point. One more to go here for Loud to secure the series.
17 out of 19 of their gun rounds secured. Maybe even that's another one. So 18-20, who knows? Loud is just crushing right now with how they're playing.
Turret out.
It's kind of incredible to know that you have that much 1v1 potential, even if you don't have a strat to be played. More 1v1 potential.
Moving in, that's 3 kills out for Loud. One more to go.
You're kidding.
And an easy one for Loud. A big win coming out for Loud to win the series as they confirm now their #1 seed going into the playoffs.
The split showed them as #1. They're able to secure it now. And that performance is the ramp that will catapult them to what looks to be a very powerful playoff run. If those are, and you see what it means to the team, if those are the type of plays we see individually towards the end of the game, Leviathan went towards more of a contact play. Can we lurk? Can we force a 1v1? It was won by less. Kaunzing, Tui's, the rookies coming up, Sadak with first bloods. If it wasn't Aspas this time, there was a lot more gusto to Loud closing out this win than most of the wins we saw from them this season. And that's a message that they're sending to the opponents.
Definitely, and as you mentioned, definitely an important win there out for Loud. Because the implications going into playoffs, potentially the 2nd seed going into the playoffs could face against Energy.
Yeah.
And if you're securing 1st or 2nd seed, you only need 1 win to qualify for Masters Tokyo, and technically you want to ease your run, so that #1 seed was in their sights for Loud, and they never let it out of their sights. That said, though, for Leviathan, they did a good job on their end. Yes, they couldn't push above their weight class, but it was a great learning experience to see that sometimes a team like Loud could switch different gears here, and you bring that into your learning experience going into playoffs.
It was impressive to see how Leviathan played some of their eco rounds, played those 2nd rounds, were able to steal a lot away from Loud and make them really have to rethink the strategies there. And Van Silly, I'm happy for all the teams that get in the playoff, but I'm also afraid for all the teams that get in the playoff because of the amount of stacked teams across the board, right? You have one of these teams fall into the lower bracket, and that is just sweating beads.
I mean, as a fan of Valorant, I'm just looking forward to it.
Cannot wait.
Because you have Cloud that looks amazing. You have Energy that looks amazing. You have Cloud9 that looks amazing. And even those that fought really towards the middle pack have put in some great performances throughout the season. So yes, it's going to be a stacked playoffs. It's going to be a fun playoffs, but it's still going to be Loud continuing their reign and finishing at the top here of the regular season.
It's pretty crazy to see the consistency that they were able to have, the message they send here at the end of the game. Fraud and crew really bringing Loud to the VCT America stage to show that they were #1.
Yeah,
our #1.
Yeah, exactly. Staying #1, our #1, and hopefully #1 coming out of the playoffs. But coming up after the break, we'll have the Desk's breakdown of the Verizon post-match interview, and more of VCT's Americas continues right after this.
Welcome back. I'm joined here with Aspas for the Verizon post-match interview. Excellent match, Aspas. Your Jet, fantastic as usual. And that's coming off the back of a bounce back after you got shut down a little bit in the NRG game. So we'll definitely discuss what just happened, but what were the big differences in terms of how you got shut down by NRG last week and you've kind of dominated this week against Leviathan?
Eu senti que nesse jogo hoje eu não fui tão pressionado e também eu joguei um pouco diferente, eu tava jogando mais agressivo. Normalmente nas outras partidas eu tava jogando mais passivo, me escondendo mais. E na partida contra a NRG eu fui bastante pressionado, estavam jogando muito skill em mim, tava bem difícil jogar contra eles. E hoje eu acho que foi uma partida que foi mais tranquila de jogar em questão pra mim, porque eu não tava sendo tão pressionado com as skills.
Yeah, he felt more comfortable playing today, definitely. Last week or last game, he was feeling a lot of pressure from NRG, and today he tried to be more active, and that really worked well for him.
Okay, I want a short follow-up on that then, because by locking in the #1 seed, by winning this game, you've managed to dodge NRG at least for the first game in the playoffs. Was that something at the back of the team's head for this match?
Sim, eu acho que sim. Mas, tipo, se a gente jogasse contra eles de novo, não teria problema, porque no final a gente acaba jogando contra todo mundo, a gente se prepara do mesmo jeito para todo mundo. Mas provavelmente a gente vai acabar se enfrentando de novo no campeonato, porque sempre acontece. E eu acho que esse ano vai ser igual e a gente vai jogar contra mais algumas vezes.
Yeah, he was definitely in the back of their heads, but they were prepared for whatever happened, and he thinks that they'll probably face NRG again at some point, and he's looking forward to it. He's prepared.
Okay, so your Jet performance today, fantastic. You've been playing Jet all season, probably the best player in America, certainly up there. How have you managed to stay so consistent as Jet? What is it? Is it the aim? Is it being in sync with the rest of your team? Is it the anticipating what your opponents are doing? What do you think is the most important thing?
Eu acho que uma coisa que tá fazendo bastante diferença tá sendo os picks que eu tô conseguindo fazer com o estilo de jogo, o suporte do time. Então eu acho que isso tá sendo algo que tá me ajudando bastante. E eu acho que mudar o estilo de jogo também é algo bem importante para o time inimigo não conseguir dar um antitático total, igual no jogo da NRG. Eu já tava jogando igual há um tempinho e acabou que isso acabou complicando meu jogo.
Yeah, he said that the team support is really important to keep this steadiness playing as Jet. Also changing the play style depending on the team, so they don't know what to expect from him, and it's been working, so he loves it.
It's interesting you bring up changing playstyles. We got a chance to talk to Frod 2 weeks ago, and he said that one of the things your team needed to do was keep changing, keep refreshing, and surprising opponents. You haven't gone for any massive strategy shifts in these last couple of weeks. Can we expect something interesting, dynamic heading forward to the playoffs? Have you all been cooking in the back somewhere?
Talvez tenha coisa nova para os playoffs, mas aí já é uma surpresa. Ou talvez não tenha, mas talvez tenha.
There might be something new for the playoffs, but also there might not be. But that maybe it's a surprise.
Okay, well, I'm very much looking forward to that. Congratulations on your win today. It's been excellent watching you as the #1 seed heading forwards. Wish you the best luck in the playoffs too. And we'll send things back over to Dash and the rest of the desk to break down the day.
Thank you so much, Sideshow. Aspas, keeping the cards close to the chest. I appreciate Sideshow looking for the extra info for us about strategies and things that might come out in the postseason, but we'll just have to wait on bated breath. Also great to see Aspas return to form. I know it was a 1-week departure, right? And it felt like for us the world was falling to a degree. But for him to be right back up at the top of the table and kind of setting the mark, I think, for duelist play here in VCT Americas, it's good to see at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, he's been popping off, and this just cemented Loud as the #1 seed, and now Cloud9 is #2 seed. Both of these teams coming with a W today. I think that's going to have momentum, confidence going into the playoffs. Big for both teams, especially Loud.
And what a great way to win it. So many of the games this season have been back and forth for Loud. They lose a map to a team they shouldn't have. They get upset by NRG. And this is the Loud we want to see going into playoffs, winning dominantly against respectable opponents, coming out with new ideas on each map. I mean, it was just clean for them. That Ascent, after losing those first 3 rounds, they just completely bowled Leviathan over.
Yeah, they were down 1-3 and then 1-2 in the second half. And Leviathan ended that game with 5 rounds.
Yeah.
Like, that just shows how dominant they were throughout the gun rounds of that map.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where it's like they just have to find their footing, their foothold within a map, right? And then they start to run away with rounds. So it can look close until the point where it just breaks and, you know, it's the final straw that broke the camel's back kind of a situation. So Loud, again, locking it up. #1 fashion is going to feel good for them, setting the pace for the rest of the league.
Yeah, and even at the beginning of the game, I was actually impressed with Sidehawk's calling. Even though they lost the first eco they had, I was like, yo, they might win this. This is one of the best strats I've seen on an eco. They ended up losing it, but I was like, dude, if this guy's calling like this, he's gonna take over.
A lot of the eco strats were good. That round 5 that you broke down at the halftime, that was an eco round that they managed to win, to be that swing round, to build back in these rifles. Even rewinding earlier to Haven, they had a lot of those little ideas, treating every round with one that is winnable for them. Honestly, kind of reminiscent of Cloud9 in that way. And also, like we've already talked about, showing innovative stuff with that Viper comp. Also in this game, really recognizing Leviathan's weakness in Tree and Cat. Lev has always, I think, struggled to contend with those A splits. And once I figured that out, it's like, okay, we're just gonna A split every single round and run them over.
I think Loud completely took Taco out of that last map. It was 4-17, 0-6 on First Bloods.
Yeah.
Like, that is just next level demolishing a player. Like, I guarantee you they went into that game knowing exactly the moves Taco would do.
And that's so brutal because Loud is so good at closing those 5v4 conversions, right? So if you do give them the first blood, they'll tap the brake pedal for a moment, go, okay, we've got the advantage. Let's just make sure we know how to, drive it home like that.
And that's where Sidehawk's mid-rounding comes in, where he can pull you based off 5v4. You're gonna be rotating a little bit faster because you're down a man. You can't afford to just sit and hold your spot. So that's where the fakes come in, the push-pulls on the extremities, and you end with the split. It's very nice to watch. I also think something that's important to note for Loud is that they've been kind of running the double controller comp a lot this entire split, and for them to come out and go back to the original Ascent role and look so dominant with the double initiator is great to see. They have a very wide agent pool now.
It is, and I think we also saw for Leviathan a lot of those moments where they lost the opening kill, which Aspas was harvesting in those initial engagements. They were falling into like the classic blunder of like going one at a time, trying to push forward and take a play where you don't really need to. And normally we look at Leviathan and we're applauding them, even in loss, for their structure, for their pre-planning in these games. And I didn't see that to the same extent, which kind of worries me now going into playoffs because they are still qualified. And that's a brutal loss to have right before that ever-important playoff run.
Yeah, being a structured team like Leviathan and having these kind of doubts inside of you about the actual structure that made you successful initially is a very scary place that they're sitting right now. That's why I was kind of hoping to see some glimmers of hope for them in this Loud game. They're going to have to get back to the drum board. They have a couple days before playoffs, and obviously they got themselves, the 4-5 seed, depending on this next game tomorrow. Man, but they have a lot of work they need to do. Yeah,
Valen, earlier in the show, you were kind of talking about how repetition, like well-oiled teams that repeat, and become master of a strategy or strategies, whatever they are, can really overperform almost early in a split, but it also makes them easy to figure out at a certain point if you put in the time. And I think that will be the continued concern here for Leviathan going into the playoffs, and it's going to put ultra emphasis, like Sean is saying, on these next few days. And like, how much can you really cook up in a few days to start throwing curveballs at your opponents?
Yeah, I think it depends a lot on the IGL being able to kind of meta game the rounds, because you have to kind of think in a sense where you know that they know what you're going to do. And you got to try to play off those reads and try to mess with their IGL, especially when there's so much footage on you. You kind of have to think, they probably watched us. Let's throw this wrench in there. Let's fake beans.
The classic. You know that I know that you know that I know that.
So you just go down that rabbit hole. And that's actually how, in my opinion, the best IGLs are formed, because they understand each matchup, what their win conditions are. And for Leviathan, I think they have to relook at their win conditions and kind of revisit their maps and be like, okay, what are we doing that's the same? What can we add in that's different? And how do we kind of metagame our opponents going into playoffs? And they'll probably be just fine.
But looking ahead to playoffs, this is even less time than these teams have had to prep. Normally, you get a week off, you get time to go back in and come up with new ideas against your opponent. But here, it's literally just we end the games tomorrow, and then we have 2 days off, and then it's straight into playoffs.
Exactly.
For Leviathan, they're likely going to have either 3 or 4 days to prepare. That's so difficult.
Exactly. Very little time to get it done. And speaking of playoffs, here are our current standings and a bit of a look at the playoff picture. As you can see there, 5 of the 6 teams decided. Seeding still to be figured out in a couple of places. 1, 2, 3, totally locked in. Loud, Cloud9, NRG. 100 Thieves are playing for their playoff lives against MIBR tomorrow. Win, they're in, and also 4th. So it's not just win, you're in, you're 4th. Lose, you're 8th, and you're out of playoffs. Like, talk about stakes for a final matchup of the stage here, and all of the pressure is on 100 Thieves. If you're an EG fan, you may have noticed that there was no asterisk next to them, which means they are still alive. Because if 100 Thieves falls down, it's EG who slots up into the 6th position. LEV, Furia just above them. Of course, there still are map differentials and round differentials that can come into play. That standings graphic doesn't necessarily indicate that. It's not close enough yet to matter, but if and when it does become so, we will keep you apprised of all of that information. But there it is. It's basically 2 scenarios that work out tomorrow. It's either 100 Thieves in and EG out, or EG in, 100 Thieves out.
That's so much pressure on 100 Thieves, man. Like, the hardest, it's MIBR. It shouldn't be that hard. But I feel like this is going to be, like, the hardest game of the split for them because they're under just an absurd amount of pressure to make it.
Mimi, if they win the game, they play Leviathan in the first round.
Yeah.
And they've already beat Leviathan. So honestly, like, a lot of people that were initially really down on 100 Thieves, they find themselves in a pretty money spot here in this last week.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where, again, we just talk about peaking at the right time.
Yes.
Right? It's just such a common thing within sports in general, right? Is that you just have to find your form in the right moment and on the day, right? You could be the best team week 1. That's irrelevant.
I mean, they're like
right?
the anti-Leviathan.
Yeah.
Leviathan peaked really early and are now struggling. 100 Thieves was really bad the first few weeks and are suddenly looking like, I don't know, they could do something.
It just might be enough. It just might be enough. Well, that will all come tomorrow. Valen, today is your last day with us, though, so I just want to take another moment to recognize you. Thank you for being up here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. And shout out to all the viewers for making this an amazing experience for me. And shout out to everyone behind the camera, on the camera. You guys are all the best.
Hell yeah.
You're a legend. When can we see you?
A serious legend, actually, yeah.
In Challengers?
Yeah, when are you playing next?
Like 2 weeks versus FaZe.
2 weeks, playoffs for the guard? That's going to be pretty exciting.
That's light.
That's light work.
Making the push to be on this stage eventually. I was telling him earlier, I was like, man, you're so good at this. You're gonna get people rooting against you qualifying into VCT just so they can have you on the broadcast more often. Either way, once again, thank you so much. Hope to have you back soon in the future. For all of you at home, thank you for watching. We're going to hit you with the Prime Gaming post-day highlights. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place, for the final match of the regular season. Until then, stay healthy, stay safe, and be good to each other, all right? Good night, everyone.
So next time you're here, you're playing, right?
Hopefully.
Match 1 of the day getting underway. It's Cloud9 playing for first seed. It's Crew looking to end their season on a high note.
There's flank timing coming all the way round. Kesnit, he sniffed a portion of it out. At least there's a spray down. One for the one, Kesnit. 4 in the round, and he wins it out for Crew. Where's the post-plant positioning? Davies is going to do the most from this angle because he is one of that final line of defense, but wow. So many first steps. The wider swing, the wider fight taken. Cloud9 looking to salvage it. Zeppa. Oh my goodness. The fight to be taken. In the blink of an eye, just like that. Cloud9 take it. It took 1, but they do it eventually. No way, no one clears it. Mistakes are made.
Let's go.
The Trailblazer, paranoia as well. Can't see a bloody thing. Davies collects it. Yep, accuracy is key. Davies still. Oh my God, Davies. Pulls aside a Jenny. Still need to find their shots. Jake alive, but not for much longer. Not when Kesnit is this active and he's got that confidence. Crew take map number 2. Shots there could have found a little bit more, but only the 1, and it is so damn clean. Forwards, no way. Zeppa misses that. Kesnit can't be getting away with this. What? Hitting that. Doesn't land a second shot. Is denied. Denied. No. Okay. In the blink of an eye, it's over like that. Crew looked formidable, but ultimately it was Cloud9 that woke up, and it's Cloud9 that take the series.
Loud looking to lock up that #1 seed and stay atop the table as they head into the postseason. For Leviathan, it's all about building momentum as they look to shoot as high as 4th in the postseason playoff picture.
Quickly for Loud, deniability with the breach coming out from the aftershock. Support and suppress from King. That's a big paranoia that comes out, but it's still Loud putting their foot down on the kill feed. Reckoning for the retake, big flash coming through, and Aspas gets 2 kills. Dashing away as Nazor drops Cowan
down low.
instantly. A solidified 13-7 on the first map of Haven.
Shy.
Playing towards the staircase with support from Takolia. He gets a 3rd into the round, but it was once again to Odin. Knowing that Loud has pushed all the way up towards the A side, and it's still, again, Aspas.
More 1v1 potential.
Sadak now moving in. That's 3 kills out for Loud. 1 more to go.
You're kidding.
And an easy one for Loud. A big win coming out for Loud to win the series as they confirm now their #1 seed going into the playoffs.
Auch nie sehen Cloud9. Yeah, man, auch nie sehen Cloud9.